Okay, so we're back 8 p.m. on the dot, and now we're going to start with the main sculpt of the day, or the evening now, I guess, as the Grimlock. Now, like I've said earlier, oh, come on. I do use reference for this guy, so um, again, something along like an even split between a golem type creature and this caveman Neanderthal. So muscular, but not bodybuilder, and you know sinewy, but not doesn't look weak. Okay, so like a medium ground between, but also not like beer belly, flabby skin. None of that either, because this is more, I think, like troll, like a goblin kind of creature with this. With a Grimlock, I'm thinking more like a golem kind of guy. So that's what we're working towards today. Um, oh, where'd it go? There we go. All right, so I'm gonna get to I think starting off with the hands here. So it doesn't seem that I have enough hand references to my likings, at least not at this angle. You know, this is nice, this is okay. I feel like I need a little bit. These are very chunky, thick, strong hands, which isn't horrible, but I also want some more variation. Um, so I'm gonna have to go to Pinterest. Classic. And so you see, it doesn't take a long time to go from like semi tertiary to like semi secondary. I'd call this secondary level detail here. It doesn't take long. And that's if you how do I put this? The more time you put into your primary forms, excuse me, and the more you pay attention to your reference images, anatomy, uh, the better you simply just build on the um, foundation that you create. If you were to build a house and you just wanted to rush to the end, and you're putting on before you've, if you want to put on the roof tiles, the shingles, and install the doors and windows, and install all the electrical before you even laid a good foundation, the house is going to crumble. And art is not too dissimilar to that logic. And even still, uh, I'm still working on getting good form down and moving things around. Um, I wish I could say I follow a strict primary, tertiary, excuse me, yeah, primary, secondary, tertiary form pipeline, and to an extent I do, but not all at once in the same places, if that makes sense. So I'll have, um, like the back of the hand, or the top, because this is technically like the back of the hand, is a lot more detailed right now than the bottom of the hand for many reasons. The bottom of the hand is not going to really be visible. I still am going to put a little bit of time into it because, y- you know, um, it's not never going to be seen, but this is predominantly going to be viewed more than the bottom of the hand because it's going to be viewed from this angle, right? So this is rarely going to be seen. Um, and as some of the great artists have advised, and now as I will listen, uh, don't waste time working on stuff that's not going to be seen. So I'm not going to go crazy on the bottoms, but working on the bottom can influence the shape of the top. You see the shape um, underneath from above as well a little bit. So that does require a little bit of attention here in terms of form. I'm not going to go crazy though, because again, this is being sculpted for 3D printing. It's not being sculpted for game or film. So quality may vary across the sculpt. Sick. Right now I'm working on the brachialis here. So one of the benefits of lifting weights and being a student of that activity is I learn a little bit about anatomy just through osmosis, through learning what exercise is supposed to target what specific muscle. I learn about muscle groups and how they interact and how they work together and all that good stuff. So um, through that, I've learned that there's a real good chunk of the forearm, this big chunk right here that comes up. It actually feeds into the bicep and it becomes part of the upper arm. Um, if you ever work an exercise called hammer curls, predominantly you're focusing on this chunk, this brachialis. A little too sunken in right now for my taste, so I'm going to bring this back out a little bit. I mean, it is an awkward angle that the guy's arms are at right now, so it's going to have a little bit of weirdness in terms of things bending and twisting, because he's kind of, to emphasize, just mostly for shape language and for an ergonomic pose, his arms come in, upper arms, and then they kind of taper back out slightly. Um, like this is a nimble, flexible, wiry creature. You know what I mean? So having it kind of posed in a flexible, in a flexible position, kind of helps communicate that. Along with, by bringing the arms in, it gives room for the thighs to be where they are. And it's also, like yoga, you can press parts of your body against each other for stability. That this could be maintaining stability here, helping him out. Planting his hands down like this, um, slightly spread out, also helping maintain balance. And there's going to be like a club or something that he's kind of got his hands on, ready to use and attack you with. So, yeah, we're close to finishing this guy. Um, I'm not going crazy with detail. Um, Again, these are going to be miniatures for printing. They're not going to be huge. Um, the bigger I expect things to be printed, the more detail I'm going to give, and I would hope that they get printed accordingly, because otherwise the detail I put in is lost. Like I sculpted a commission not too long ago, and that took me a few months because I was really working on. It was meant to be printed, but and not even at a huge scale, but it still required a lot of not insane tertiary detail, but we did. There did need to be a lot of things, like a lot of, it was a creature with a saddle, and if there had to be things on the saddle, and there was someone riding the creature, and all that good stuff. And a lot of the time I got away with this, this came out really well. And sometimes I would go even more in depth with detail, and due to the size of the print, or lack of size, um, didn't always show through well, so it was kind of almost wasted effort. Well, I don't want to say wasted effort. It's definitely, worth showing off and showcasing. If you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see it there. I have a whole time-lapse video on that, um, but yeah, definitely learned parts where I can kind of back off on going crazy on detail and still come out with a fairly decent, I say fairly because the quality to shoot for here is not film level. We're shooting for very readable, um, slightly exaggerated forms that, when printed, 3D printed, read incredibly well. And that is more important than showcasing technical ability to achieve tertiary detail. Readability is king when you come to miniature printing and stuff. And this is just what I've learned by doing my own research. Um, the best prints are the ones that focus primarily on being readable at a smaller scale. You still get those very impressive 3D sculpts that are big and they get a lot of detail, and they have to be readable still. But there's also an emphasis on that tertiary detail that you can achieve. Um, this is not one of those characters or creatures. This is not. I'm gonna bump the quad out here a little bit, add some striations going in. Gonna kind of soften the base of the thigh and then have that separation come in here. Um, Predominantly it's the outside of the thigh that gets, or sorry, the inside of the thigh where you get that teardrop with developed thighs. So I'm going to take this back a little bit, not a crazy amount, but we're going to round off the, come over here. We're going to round off this portion. This is the bigger part of the thigh, this inner chunk right here. Again, you can I can attribute my understanding of muscle anatomy to, or at least muscle development, to my interest in weightlifting. This teardrop shape that you get from the knee, again, the inner thigh muscle. I don't know the actual name of this. It's a very sought after look amongst bodybuilders and weightlifters in general. So that's how I know it should be there, because there's specific exercises strictly on how to achieve that look, how to get that. We as humans have specific musculature that is very, similar to one another. We've been designed, well, I'm not claiming, I'm not, and not in a religious sense, but our bodies have been, are designed in a way that is very similar, just because we're the same species. So this is a humanoid, and you can assume that it would have similar features. Now, the teardrop, this thigh part, is not actually going to be as pronounced as when at a flexed position as it would be at a relaxed position, because literally what's happening with the teardrop shape, when a quad is, when someone's standing and their thigh muscle is actually a little relaxed, that muscle hangs down and creates a teardrop shape over the knee slightly. When it's tense, it's less pronounced, but it's still there. You can still notice it. I'm going to soften this out just a little bit. Okay. I think that's good enough for one day. Uh, what was that? Maybe an hour? Hour and a half? Nothing crazy today. I'm still getting back into it. But yeah, this is going to be a finished project soon, and then we'll move on to the next guy. Yeah, so all I did, pretty simple. Pushed my secondary forms a little further, brought my primary forms into secondary, started working on transitions between limbs, some folds in the tunic. I already have these created. I'm working on a little base, some like um, skulls and helmets from past enemies and victims, I guess. Um, and so, yeah, maybe I'll add a little pouch this guy's got. Like, he's primitive, but he's not, he's able to uh, collect things and stuff. A little bit more in the hands. I'll probably finish the feet up later. Once I finish the feet up, that'll pretty much be it. And then I'll do the base and what he's holding. So one more session, and I think this guy's going to be completed. So yeah, that's that. Thanks for watching. If you made it to the end, pretty sick. If not, that's fine. I'm going to keep doing this regardless.